What is up, YouTube? Johnny B here again today, and I'm gonna be working on a Toyota 86 today. This is something that I have never done to a Toyota 86, which is gonna chop it up today. Gonna be installing a V2 front bumper with the V2 over fenders in the front, and then we're gonna be also running the V3 side skirts with a V3 rear end with some very nice wheels that you guys will see later on. So we're gonna need to start by tearing it apart. We're gonna remove the bumper, gonna remove the fenders because the front fenders that we got actually already came with fenders. The rear quarter panels are gonna be chopped up so we can fit those big old wide V3 flares. We're gonna be doing a diffuser, so we're gonna chop up the rear bumper as well. And we have like a little wing, I think it's like a leg sport wing that's gonna go on the back, on top of the trunk, just to kind of like transform this stock looking car to something that's just gonna be like way out of this world. It does have some aftermarket wheels on it right now, so the fitment is actually really good, but we're gonna be going with Rocketbunny fitment now. So let's get to it. So I think the hardest part of installing a Rocketbunny kit is probably doing your rear quarter panels. That's, you know, without a doubt the hardest thing, because that's what you have to chop up and you have to re-weld, whereas the front, you just chop it, you're good to go. We're gonna go ahead and start with that. Might as well knock it out since it's the hardest part. It's a nice time during the day, and I got some good shade, so I have them in here. Let's go ahead and show them to you guys. And one of the nice things is that since it's the legit kit, it comes with the hardware and the rubber lining and everything. There's already a video on my channel of how to install it. I'm not really going to show it on how to install it, but just the process of me working on it, so you guys get to see a little bit more of the actual hard part, you know what I mean? Not just the video where it just shows me like chop it, it gets welded, the over fender goes on, and done. So you guys get to see all the little in-between things. So here's the V3 kit, so you can see there, it's ready. We're gonna take these out. We're gonna take a Sharpie and put them onto the car, measure it. Obviously I've done it before, so I know where to cut, but I just wanna like make sure I cut right the first time, right? So it's better to double check than to cut it wrong and then you have a part showing that's like really ugly. Look at that Pandem FRS V3 rear fender. Obviously there's two in here, I hope. There should be two at least. Yeah, they're here. So now what I'm gonna go ahead and do is remove the front bumper. Probably be the easiest thing to do because we're gonna be removing it anyway for the V2 bumper, so we can go ahead and do that. Most of the time when you see Rocketbunny cars out there, most of the time, I'm not saying always, they are not powerful. They're slow. They have the stock horsepower with a nice kit. They look like race cars, but they're really not. Won't be the case with this one. This one's actually boosted. It's got a JDL kit like mine. It's got the smaller turbo, which is more inclined for like the stock engine, like with the 14 and a half compression or 14 compression to 1. I think the best part about going Rocketbunny is the fact that we get to delete these side markers, because honestly they're terrible. They always fall off, they never line up properly, and they just cause a lot of issues, and they don't really look that good in my opinion. So that's probably like my favorite part about going wide body, that you get to delete that right there, right in there. That right there is where this plastic piece will cover your engine bay, and if you remove it or you delete it, then you're not gonna have protection from like the rain and stuff like that. It'll be flicking water and getting your engine bay dirty, maybe messing up a connection. So that's why I always leave at least that bit, even though I've removed the rest of it because it's all going to be in the way. Now what I'm going to go ahead and do is chop up this little section here. When you turn and you have really wide wheels, your wheels will hit this, and if you articulate, this little like ridge here can slice your tire as well. So that needs to be chopped up and kind of moved out of the way. I don't like to chop them off completely, so I just chop them in like weak spots where it'll help me bend them and fold them so they can just get out of the way. That way we don't remove any of the original welds or spot welds that they have. That way it doesn't come apart later on. That way your frame won't be messed up, or none of this structural area will be weakened. Got it all cut up. I did what you call relief cuts, or what you can call relief cuts. So just like little slits in that. That way I can fold it down easier, because if you try to fold that down, it's not going to. It's extra strong. And then we got to fold this out of the way. Obviously I leave this section because you don't want nothing getting in there. So I just kind of like open it up, kind of like a flower. You can fold it in, but then it's still going to be in the way, so I just open it up so it all gets out of the way. And then obviously it's going to get some paint on it. That way we can avoid having any rust, even though we don't have that issue here in Arizona. But it's always a good step. It's like a whole nother inch further back, so that way your wheels don't get caught. You can see there's little areas where it's pretty much sealed, but they're a little bit open, and we're just gonna use some of like this factory stuff that they have here. It's just like a white caulking to seal that up, and then we'll paint it. And then this is now flat, but those relief cuts just make it a lot easier. Now the wheel won't have anything to smack into because it's completely out of the way. And then this is how it looks like when I chop up the inner fender liner so that it still seals up. There we go. So I got the bumper on, test fitted it. Looks like it's fitting pretty good. So now that I know that the fitment is okay, we're good on this part. Now we can go ahead and put the side skirts, and then we're gonna go ahead and do the rear over fenders, and then after that we can take it all off and we can start painting. The main reason why I needed to install the fender first was because I needed to be able to line this up. So if you look closely, this now lines up pretty perfect. Pretty much the way that that sticks out right there. There we go. The main thing that's throwing it off here is that this is a V2 and not a V3, so it's off a little bit, but as you adjust it, you can kind of get it pretty close. But the main thing is the curve. You want to get that curve right. So you want this little ledge right here to line up with this body kit panel right here. Obviously this isn't bolted on, so there you go. You can see the gap in between the door and the fender, but you want that to line up with that perfectly. Then obviously you leave like a little space here, and then once all that is good, then we can line up the quarter panel piece, which is the rear over fender. And as soon as you get it to line up with this, get a good gap on the door. Get that. If this doesn't line up perfectly right here, you're not doing it right. So that's what you want to do, and then it lines up with the curb up here, and then the kit comes out pretty good. So got one side done. Now I'm gonna go ahead and move over to the other side. Obviously you can see that I haven't cut the actual card just yet, but I have started marking where I need to start cutting. So if you look in there, there's like some marks, and then also in the vent area I put some marks inside where parts are going to be visible. So I'm going to need to cut, and then we're going to have to paint this section here. Will most likely be black, just so that it's not noticeable, and it just kind of looks like a duct from the side as well. And then if you look over there, we have the wheels on, so we can kind of figure out fitment if we need to go lower or whatnot, but it's looking good. I want to have the holes drilled out before I paint, because I don't want to be drilling into it with fresh paint and then all of a sudden you kind of like miss and just scratch the paint up. So I'd rather have the holes ready so I could just put the bolts in with my thumb and then bolt it down, so that we don't have any weird things happening when the car is about to be done after all that work. So I went ahead and slit all of the bottom pieces. So what I did is I just chop off the top layer, I peel it off of this bottom layer, and then the bottom layer I just slice it up. So as soon as it's sliced up, it's easy to fold up, and then that's when I go ahead and tack weld it. So that's what makes it easier to seal it up. If not, you're gonna be struggling quite a bit to be able to seal it up, because there's gonna be a big gap. So on this side, I already welded it up. As you can see, everything has a spot weld on it. And then from underneath, you can see where the slits were at. They got folded up. And now it's on there nice and solid. Everything is nice and strong. I'm gonna go ahead and chop these off, all the excess material that's there, and then add something called glaze to seal it all up, so that way there's no openings. I think originally that panel to the bottom panel is glued. A couple spot welds, so nothing too strong. So this is actually going to be stronger, and then with the glaze it acts as a glue as well. So I got the rear quarter panels all done, painted them. There's that extra black right there on there. I probably need to bring it all the way down as well, because we don't want the vents showing. That's how it looks like without the fenders, the bumper, and the rear quarter panel piece just quite yet. Got the wheels on there. The wheels are looking amazing. I also installed door control arms and the toe arms. so he can adjust it a little bit better. And I did lower it in the back quite a bit because he went with the Voodoo 13 stuff, which is the same stuff I have. Now I'm prepping the stuff to paint. So come over here. We have the fenders, side skirts, and the bumpers over there. So I'm gonna start prepping all this stuff so that I can get to painting. So I got everything all body worked out. Got the side skirts here, the wing, the front bumper, the front fenders. Everything is all body worked. I even did a little bit of a body work to the fenders where the fender meets with the fender flare. So we did kind of like a little molding job where I fill in the cracks so that there's no crack in between it. There's no seam. It's just literally, it just flows with it, even though you could tell it has a wide body kit on it. Just to make it look a little bit nicer, because what it had on there was like some RTV stuff that I could not remove the fenders, and it looked really ugly, so I wanted to make it look a lot nicer, so it doesn't look like someone just put on plastic RTV with their fingers. Got everything finally all painted up. This little makeshift paint booth, I guess is what you would call it, has been working great. Got like 3 fans that take everything out from there, and then I got 1 fan that brings in air, and it's been working great because one of the main issues you have when you're painting clear coat is that there's a lot of clear coat in the air, and if that clear coat doesn't get cleared out, it'll settle down on top of the parts, and then it'll just make everything foggy, and there goes your paint job because now it's not even shiny anymore. So this has been helping a lot with that. And then since it's all filtered, no dust, you do get, you know, your occasional dust. Even in actual paint booths you will have that issue, so most of the time you need to polish after. But if you have a really good gun and you get lucky and, you know, you wet the floor and there's not a lot of dirt, or it's not windy outside, then you can get an actual really good paint job. So let me show you guys how it looks, and then tomorrow, because it's already nighttime, we're going to be installing it onto the car. Here we have the side skirts. We got little ducktail. We have the rear over fenders, looking great with the light. You can kind of really see, you know, how it came out with the clear coat and the paint and the reflections. We have the fenders over here. We got them molded in so that there's no crease or crack in between. And then we got the bumper over here looking nice. B2 bumper, it's nice and freshly painted. It's got some holes there, but I left them because of that's where the canards go. So that's why it looks weird in that little section. There we go. So everything is looking good. Only thing is, I didn't paint the inside of the fenders. They're still red, but that's not going to be a part that's going to be visible, since you guys do remember that the fenders and the front bumper were red. So got that out. Got my little paint station right there. So now I'm going to let everything dry so that tomorrow we can put it on the car. See how it looks? Now that everything is fully dried up, we can start putting it together on the car. I have the bumper. I put the canards and the splitter that go on the bumper. The car got the wing already. It's a little bit dark because it's bright over there. There we go. You can see the wings on there already. Bumper's over there. And now what we got to do is put the side skirts and the rear over fenders together. Those go bolted on. So there's 3 bolts that hold them. And then we go ahead and just put them back on the car. So they're gonna be pretty much acting as one piece once we put them on. Another thing, I already have the fenders in the front put on too. There they go. They're not fully on there yet. I still have to bolt them down properly, but for the most part, you know, they're on the car. I need to move the car to the shade because working out in this sun is terrible. So I just got to get this stuff out of the way so we can drive the car in here. So here are the fenders mounted. Color matching pretty good. The gap in between the hood and the fenders is also looking very nice, as well as with the door. And this car is looking completely different now with the wide body kit. Looking very nice. As you can see, went ahead and gave it kind of like a little bit of a molding so it blends in. So it's looking very, very nice. It's looking super good with that wing, with the nice T37s, and with the body kit on it finally. Look at that. Looking gorgeous. The wheels do sink in just a little bit, so I'm guessing that's just probably because I have a lot of camber. Maybe if we remove the camber. Luckily I installed some lower control arms and toe arms, so we can do that. So once we take it to aligning, we can get all that camber out. The car is looking amazing in the sun. Like the metallic in it just shines really well. I haven't put the bumper on since we're gonna go take it to alignment. I don't want the bumper to get ripped off or anything like that, so that's why I haven't put it on. Wow, it's looking good. So I got all of the new tires and the old wheels that were on there, so we can swap over the sensors from these to the new wheels, and then put on the new tires on the new T37Vs that are going to be going on the car. So now it will pretty much be done after this is all installed. So 602 came to drop me off, pick up my truck, so I can take all the stuff there because it's a one-man team right here. So I got to do what I can, and luckily they're always there to help me out. So let's head back over there so they can get all this started. Lift it up on all fours while they're mounting the new wheels and tires with the sensors getting swapped over. No, with the bronze is really nice. Just taking a little bit of video before it takes off. I made like a kind of like a vlog video on it. Just something
guys. Honestly, I just want to thank John here for the install. He does really good work, and honestly, I didn't think it'd come out any better than this. Like, this is just amazing. So appreciate it again, Johnny, and stay tuned.
Yeah, so that's Christian. He's the owner of the car. When he saw the car, you know, he was really excited. So now the only thing we're gonna do is plug the Instagram. So if you guys are interested in seeing more of the car, you guys can follow him. I'll have the Instagram link down below. That way you guys can follow him and just kind of keep up to date on this build. The car came out amazing. The way that he chose the V2 with the V3, I think really brought it out. And the T37Vs in the bronze with the silver is just like a very nice icing on the cake. It looks really good. So thanks, Christian, again. And that's it for this video. It's Friday. Literally started Monday and did it on Friday. Full week. Car's done. Got alignment. Got new tires. Got everything else done that needed to be done. So as always, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. You have a great day.